Grandma's Business Writing Secrets. Well, hello there, sugar. It's your favorite grandma back again. And honey, do I have some secrets to share with you today? Now, I know what you're thinking. Grandma, how in the world did you learn to write business posts that make people think you got some fancy degree? Let me tell you something, baby. I didn't go to no Harvard Business School, but I got something better. I got Chat GPS and a whole lot of curiosity about what my grandbaby was doing on that computer all day long. See, I was sitting in my kitchen one morning, minding my own business and making my coffee, when I heard my granddaughter on a video call talking about content creation and engagement rates. Now, I don't know what all that fancy talk meant, but I could tell it was important because she was making more money than her daddy, and he's been working for 20 years. So naturally, being the loving grandmother that I am, I decided to do a little investigating. And by investigating, I mean I listened real good through that thin wall between the kitchen and her room. Don't you judge me now. That's what grandmothers do. What I learned changed everything about how I run my little side business. You see, I've been selling my quilts and preserves at the farmer's market for years, but I never could figure out how to tell people about them on that Facebook and Instagram. My posts were getting about as much attention as a whisper in a hurricane. But after I learned what my grandbaby was doing with that Chat GPS thing, honey, my posts started getting more likes than the church potluck announcements. People were sharing my content, asking questions, and most importantly, buying my products like they were going out of style. Now, I'm going to teach you exactly what I learned, step by step, so you can get the same results without having to eavesdrop on your own grandbabies. Though I do recommend it for other reasons. You'd be surprised what these young folks are up to these days. First thing you need to understand is that Chat GPS isn't just some fancy computer program. It's like having a Harvard-educated helper who never gets tired, never asks for a raise, and works whenever you need them. But just like any good helper, you got to know how to talk to them properly. Now listen here, sweetie. I'm going to walk you through exactly how I create content that makes people stop scrolling and start buying. And don't you worry. If this old grandma can figure it out, you certainly can too. First thing I do is go to that Chat GPS website. And yes, I know it's really called Chat GPT, but Chat GPS sounds more friendly to me, so that's what I'm calling it. You can call it whatever you want, but make sure you're talking to the right robot. Now, here's where most folks mess up, and I learned this the hard way. You can't just walk up to Chat GPS and say, write me a post, any more than you can walk into the grocery store and say, give me food. You gotta be specific about what you want. Just like when I send my husband to the store with a detailed list, or he comes back with everything except what I actually needed. So instead of being vague, I tell Chat GPS exactly what I need. I say something like, help me write a Facebook post for my quilt business that will make busy moms want to buy a handmade baby quilt for their nursery. Make it warm and personal, like I'm talking to my own daughter, and include why handmade is better than store-bought. See how specific that is? I told it who I am, who I'm talking to, what I want them to do, and how I want to sound. That's the secret right there. Treat Chat GPS like you're giving directions to someone who's never been to your house before. The more details you give, the better they can help you. Now, when Chat GPS gives me that first response, I don't just copy and paste it like some folks do. Oh no, honey, that's amateur hour. I read through it and then I ask for changes. Maybe I say that's good, but make it sound more like a grandmother talking, not a salesperson, or add something about how these quilts become family treasures that get passed down. This back and forth conversation is where the magic happens. It's like when I'm teaching my granddaughter to cook. We start with the basic recipe, then we adjust the seasoning until it tastes just right. And here's a little secret I learned from watching my granddaughter work. I always ask Chat GPS to give me 3 different versions of the same post. That way I can pick the best parts from each one, or I can test different approaches to see what my customers like better. For my quilt business, I might get one version that focuses on the craftsmanship, another that talks about the emotional value, and a third that emphasizes the uniqueness. Then I can see which one gets more engagement and use that style for future posts. Now that you know the basics, let me share some advanced tricks that really make my content shine brighter than my good china at Sunday dinner. First secret, I always tell Chat GPS about my customers like they're real people, because honey, they are. I don't just say right for moms. I say right for Sarah, who's 32, works full-time, has 2 kids under 5, and wants her home to feel special but doesn't have time to make everything from scratch. The more real I make my customer, the better ChatGPS writes for them. Second secret, I use what I call the story sandwich method. I start with a little story about my life, then I share the helpful information, then I end with another personal touch. People love stories, especially from grandmothers, because we've got the best ones. For example, I might start with, yesterday while I was quilting and listening to my stories, I realized something important about why handmade gifts mean so much. Then I share the main content and end with, just like my grandmother taught me, some things are worth doing the old-fashioned way. Third secret, and this one's important, I always end my posts with a question that makes people want to respond. Not some boring question like, what do you think? But something that gets them talking about their own experiences, like, what's the most special handmade gift you've ever received? Or, do you have any family heirlooms that tell a story? Now, here's something my granddaughter doesn't even know I figured out. I keep a little notebook where I write down all the ChatGPS prompts that work really well for me. That way, when I need to create content quickly, I don't have to start from scratch every time. I just pull out my notebook and use one of my proven formulas. I also learned to batch my content creation, just like when I cook big meals and freeze portions for later. Every Sunday, I sit down with ChatGPS and create a whole week's worth of posts. Takes me about an hour, and then I'm set for the entire week. And here's my final secret. I always read my posts out loud before I share them. If they don't sound like something I would actually say to my neighbor over the fence, then I ask ChatGPS to make them more natural and conversational. Remember, sugar, the goal isn't to sound like some fancy marketing expert. The goal is to sound like yourself, just with better words and clearer ideas. Start with one post, follow my method, and see what happens. I guarantee you'll be surprised at how much better your content performs when you treat ChatGPS like the helpful helper it is, instead of expecting it to read your mind.